genes, the commoners. They truly, truly believe this. And they truly believe they therefore have the right to do with us as they wish. That was spelled out in Charles Galton Darwin's The Next Million Years, written in the 1950s, and acclaimed as a bestseller by all the big media. And of course the media bosses are owned by people in the CFR and Royal Institute for International Affairs, private, elite organizations that run the world. The same foundations and so on that fund the other front foundations. They have lots of front foundations in all areas of life, but mainly to do with depopulation and what they call family planning worldwide. Because they really care. They really, really care about women's reproductive health. There's no negotiating with these people. You know, after World War II, 1946, I think it was, in Georgia, they put out an inquest, a big inquiry. They had a big meeting to do with population control. World War II hadn't killed enough people off, you see. Hadn't done enough. That was out in the open. That's in the history books now. The same history books they want to throw out. I'll be talking about that later. As they revamp the education system to just eliminate history altogether. After all, it causes bad memories, brings bad things to the surface, and et cetera, et cetera. If you don't know the past, you're doomed. If you don't know who you're dealing with and who've run the past, you're doomed. And you don't go to the shark who's just bitten off your left leg to ask for help. The big boys have spent over 20 years building up internal armies across the planet, in every country. You've watched the militarization of police until you can't call them police anymore. They are a military. They're trained as a military. You couldn't rehabilitate these policemen to serve the communities or the people because the indoctrination they've had is too intense and too perfect. You have to fire them all in a new system and get new ones in who have not been contaminated with the indoctrination that the public are an enemy of their fraternity. Here's the big deal. The big new deal they're bringing in right now is they bring through all the other new deals under the guise of terrorism and so on and economic fallouts. No, the shock and awe principle, where we're all stunned from 100 directions. And this is from Fox News, March 27th, 2009, by George Russell, a United Nations document on, and I hate this term, I even use it, climate change. I'll just call it the weather. That will be distributed to a major environmental conclave next week, envisions a huge reordering of the world economy, likely involving trillions of dollars in wealth transfer. Isn't that a plank of the manifesto, the Communist Manifesto, the redistribution of wealth? They never said it was all to the elite from you at the bottom, did they? Because governments create nothing except debt. We pay for everything. The taxpayer. Trillions of dollars in wealth transfer, millions of job losses and gains was all, and again, in government sectors, the gains. New taxes, industrial relocations, new tariffs, taxes again, and subsidies, and complicated payments for, I hate to say, greenhouse gas. The farce. I'll just call it hot air. Complicated payments for hot air abatement schemes and carbon taxes. You realize we're carbon-based life forms. We're paying for living, for existing. That's the bottom line. This is all under the supervision of the world body. The world body. Who voted this thing in, this monstrosity? The public never even voted or got a chance to for the United Nations, this strange corporation that keeps spouting on about democracy when there's nothing democratic in its own setup. It says, those and other results are blandly discussed in a discreetly worded United Nations information note, a little note involving all of us, on potential consequences of the measures that industrialized countries will likely have to take to implement the Copenhagen Treaty. See? So we're on a roll, on a complete roll, into this new world order. And we haven't had a say in anything. Just like most people in Europe had no say on the euro being introduced to take over their money. Just like most countries had no chance to vote, the people, that is, on their own destiny to do with joining the EU in the first place. And Mr. Sarkozy was on recently saying he doesn't believe the people should get the right to vote on that particular topic. It should be left to the politicians. Well, if we don't get it, this man, Sarkozy, was parachuted into France to become their prime minister, is on board with the pirates. He is their man. We won't get anything. And you know something? So was Brown, and so was Blair before him. They always give you the bosses at the top of the parties, as Mr. Carroll Quigley said. And we never catch on. We go back to the abuser who keeps promising us new deals. There, don't worry. I'll kiss it all better for you. Back with more after these messages. Hi folks, this is Alan Watt. We're cutting through the matrix. Reading an article from Fox News to do with the big new wonderful system that was planned to come in about now, probably about 100 years ago. The planning, that is. We're living through a script. And we adapt, you see, so quickly to everything. We're the most adaptable species on the planet. We can be adapted into any madness, in fact, according to the big boys and experts at the top, in their own writings. It says here, those and other results are blandly discussed in a discreetly worded United Nations information note on potential consequences of the measures that industrialized countries will likely have to take to implement the Copenhagen Accord. Most folk don't even know what the Copenhagen Accord was. It says it's the successor to the Kyoto Treaty. Most folks sort of hear it with half an ear and it passes through. You know. After it is negotiated and signed by December 2009, the Obama administration has said it supports the treaty process if, in the words of a U.S. State Department spokesman, I mean PR, everything goes through PR people. They can't tell you the truth on anything. It can come up with an effective framework for dealing with global warming. Why don't they just make big, massive fans and cool the planet? What a joke. It's all a farce. Even though all the other experts say we're in a cooling phase, not warm, but they can't backtrack. Remember, they came out with this plan for global warming 30 years ago at the Club of Rome, big think tank. That's why it's going to get utterly mad. You'll be standing up to your waist in snow, and this will be prattling on about global warming. I've had enough here this winter, more than most years. So have most other countries that get snow. The 16-page note obtained by Fox News will be distributed to participants at a mammoth negotiating session that starts on March 29th in Bonn, Germany, the first of 3 sessions intended to hammer out the actual commitments involved in, here's the very term I just used, and I used it yesterday, as I always give you, the New Deal. You see, you're at a gambling table, and you think you're winning sometimes, and then you start losing. You think you're winning, and you start losing until you lost everything, because it's the same guy that deals the cards, you see. Same guy you want to help you. In the stultifying language that is normal for important UN conclaves, negotiators are known as the Ad Hoc Working Group on Further Commitments for Annex 1 Parties under the Kyoto Protocol. They love protocols. Because, you see, the UN is the front organization